Wednesday, May 5. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. The tightened curfew hours will be extended for the next 4 weeks with a few adjustments for Labor Day. Prime Minister Andrew Holness shared the details in Parliament on Tuesday. Simone Absalom Gale reports.
The Prime Minister says the weekday curfew remains the same for the next 4 weeks, ending on June 3, 2021. But there are a few changes to the weekend curfew.
The curfew hours for weekdays, Monday to Friday, will remain at 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And they will end, of course, on the 3rd of June at 5 a.m. The curfew hours for the weekend will be modified for the next 4 weekends. The curfew will now begin on 6 p.m. on Saturday and at 2 p.m. on Sunday, and end, of course, at 5 a.m. the following day.
He says an all-day curfew will be in effect on Labor Day, which will be observed on Monday, May 24.
For Labor Day, Madam Speaker, which is celebrated on the 24th of May, but the official date would have been the 23rd, but because the 23rd is a Sunday, the Labor Day would be celebrated on the day following. So on Monday, the 24th of May, 2021, there will be an all-day curfew. So that will be a no-movement day. Therefore, on Sunday, May 23rd, the curfew will begin at 2 p.m. and it will go right through Monday and end at 5 a.m. on Tuesday, the 25th of May.
Mr. Holness notes that the number of positive cases and hospitalizations are trending downwards.
Both lines are trending downwards, with the number of new cases declining faster than new hospitalizations, as there is usually a lag between onset of symptoms and hospitalizations. This demonstrates that the measures implemented since the end of February have been effective in slowing down the virus.
The Prime Minister says it would be premature to open up the country right now and relax the strict safety measures, as he says we're not out of the woods yet.
If you open up while you are in the high-level risk zone or the medium-level risk zone, the probability of the spike being higher than it was previously is greater. What that means, Madam Speaker, is that if we were to even contemplate opening up now, the risk of a third wave happening is greater. But not only that, the risk of the third wave being more devastating, certainly in terms of the number of infections and the number of hospitalizations, would be greater, because you're starting from a much higher level of existing infections in the population. And so we have to bear this in mind, and I'm making the point for the population that is now frustrated, impatient, who basically some have just given up in terms of their compliance.
According to the Prime Minister, the work-from-home measures for the public sector have been extended. The limit for public gatherings remains at 10. Funeral services are still banned, with only burials being permitted with a 15-person limit. The same 15-person limit applies for weddings. Churches are still being allowed to have services with 30 worshippers in attendance. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
The Ministry of Justice is working on updating legislation to allow for more realistic sentences for serious crimes. Portfolio Minister Delroy Chuck says he is aware of public outcry regarding seemingly lenient sentences for persons who commit grave crimes. He addressed the issue during his participation in the sectoral debate inside Gordon House on Tuesday.
It was with this in mind that I recently tabled 2 bills aimed at giving the prosecution right of appeal against certain judgments of the court including appeals against a lenient sentence. This is a timely and game-changing development, Madam Speaker, as these amendments will bring us in line with members of the Commonwealth, like Barbados, Bermuda, and the United Kingdom in balancing the interests of justice.
Minister Chuck says the papers will then be brought to Parliament for consideration and time allowed for the public to weigh in on the proposals.
At the end of the day, the executive and the country are looking to the judiciary to play a significant role in sending the clearest signals to criminals that crime has severe detrimental consequences. This can be accomplished, Madam Speaker, by timely trials, strong pronouncements from the bench, and in appropriate cases, harsh sentences that send a powerful message and an emphatic denunciation of criminal activities.
Parents are being encouraged to read to their children and stimulate their interest in books. Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Favour Williams, made the call while participating in a virtual Read Across Jamaica Day event.
When we start reading at an early age, we develop our brain's ability to understand and to be creative and imaginative. Reading helps to provide background knowledge on our world and help us to make sense of what we see, hear, and read. Reading helps us to develop an understanding of other people's experiences and cultures and introduces us to new languages. In fact, it is the gateway to countless skills and possibilities and a lifetime of discovery.
Minister Williams read from the book entitled This Is My House, This Is My Home, noting that the event is aimed at bringing attention to reading and encouraged reading among students and all adults in Jamaica.
Please get a book or two, read to yourself or read to your brother or sister or your cousin that's in your home. Have fun reading. This is the best gift that you could give yourself.
This year's staging of the annual interactive event was done online as part of measures to contain and minimize the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. Over 20 persons, including children and seniors, have tested positive for COVID-19 across 6 households in a community in Western St. Thomas. They have been under quarantine since last Friday. Melvin Pennant has that story.
The residents of Dudley Burke Lane in St. Thomas are in self-imposed quarantine, the result of several COVID-19 infections.
A whole lot of people in the lane of COVID, so all I have to do is keep away, and I keep in my house because I don't really want to catch it, and it affects me because I cannot come out to go to work, and I just stay in and do my little housework until when it's clear up, I can go back to work. It slow me back a lot.
Well, the corona now, one man they live over this and he must be sick and go doctor. And he take back sick and he go back a doctor. I say, look, mine look like a in character. Everybody over that yard have it. And them come Friday and I go take the test officer and them pick me. He never died here. And test. Come back. Well, them say negative with me and them 2 children. So we don't have it call the nurse, we call the doctor. I ask, she up not too long she called. So I tell her, she said, all right. And she look back again and she said, we negative.
The citizens say that the weekend lockdowns also pose a challenge and appealed for help.
Well, I'm asking the Ministry of Health to assist the community because it's a lockdown. I would need help to get some food because some certain people them can't come out at all.
Help has come in the form of caretaker in the division, Marvin Clark. To date, he has distributed approximately 25 food packages to seniors. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
A patriot, a servant, teacher, and a great intellectual. These were some of the accolades parliamentarians laid at the feet of late Senator Ambassador Anthony Johnson. Mr. Johnson died on April 28 at the age of 82. He was a Jamaica Labour Party senator and a JLP member of parliament, ambassador to the United States and High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, author and lecturer. Members of the lower house paid tribute in the House of Representatives on Tuesday.
Ambassador Johnson had a great belief in the capacity of the Jamaican people. He saw it as his duty to empower people around him towards achieving their potential. He took great pride in and paid keen attention to the development of literary works in Jamaica. Himself an author of no fewer than 11 books. When you entered any of his offices, Madam Speaker, there would be a collection of books that told the story of Jamaica.
I knew him more socially than through politics, because by the time I entered this parliament, he had already retired from active political life. But he went on, of course, to become both ambassador to Washington for Jamaica and High Commissioner to London, two of the prestigious diplomatic posts that exist in this country, rounding off what could only be described as a stellar career in public life.
He was a very impressive individual. He was well-read. His sense of history was profound. And Tony could relate almost anything to some historic period in Jamaica and made it very relevant, and the conversation, a very relevant conversation. So I always enjoyed talking to him. I didn't see him a great deal or very often, but when we did, it was a very meaningful engagement, and I cherish that.
I want to express heartfelt condolences to his wife and children, including our own Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Kamina Johnson-Smith, and the rest of his family as they mourn his tremendous loss. Jamaica has indeed lost a servant, a political elder, a patriot, a brilliant mind, a teacher, a hard worker, a great intellect, and a true statesman who has left us with a great legacy and has made an indelible mark on our politics. May his soul rest in peace and light perpetual shine upon him.
Are you prone to headaches, especially during moments of stress or tension? In today's Living Healthy, Dr. Heather Dawn Lawson-Myers shares the 3 main sources of a headache and shares one simple solution. Say hello to pain-free living.
Hi, I'm HD. Welcome to another episode of HD's Jazz. Do you notice I'm actually in the root of this fabulous tree? I wonder how old it is. It sits right here in the Royal Hope Botanical Gardens, named after a British officer, Major Richard Hope. Major Hope was credited as being one of the officers who liberated Jamaica from the Spaniards in 1655. He was then gifted a wide parcel of land spreading from the hills of Newcastle to the sea, and Hope Gardens just happens to be a little part of that paradise. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about headaches. This place is so peaceful. Oh my goodness. I feel so relaxed. This world is so full of stress, it's very easy to become tense. And one of the challenges with being tense is being plagued with headaches. Stress goes together with headaches. What causes headaches though? They can be caused from vessels, they can be caused from nerves, or they can be caused from muscles. And the majority of headaches, believe it or not, are due to muscle challenges. You see these things here, these teeth? We respond to pain by crunching or grinding. We get tense. So regardless of what causes the headache, it can be exacerbated by just clenching or grinding all the time. And the truth is, you don't even recognize it. Or if you are in a situation where you're always under pressure, you may be naturally clenching and grinding all the time. And a simple oral device might be just the thing that is needed to prevent you from clenching or grinding. So whether your headache has lasted for a day, weeks, months, or even years, sometimes wearing a simple oral appliance can lessen or totally eliminate your headache and put you in a place where you're just able to enjoy all of this fabulous nature. Nobody likes to have pain, and a headache can be quite debilitating. What if a dental solution could either lessen the pain or remove the pain? It's possible. So if you find that your teeth are constantly together and you're clenching or you're grinding, recognize that that action may either create a headache or exacerbate a headache. Think about it. See you next time on HD's Jazz.
Global oil prices rose on Wednesday. We get these and other details in this edition of the Business Report. In Tuesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 7,432 points to close at just over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 91 stocks, of which 39 advanced, 38 declined, and 14 traded firm. The junior market index declined by 12 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for Barita Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Epley Limited 8.25%, and Future Energy Source Company Limited. Derrimon Trading Company Limited was the volume leader with 4.5 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 3.4 million units, and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2.6 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, May 4, the US dollar sold for an average $153.27. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.33. The pound sterling traded for $215.15, and the euro sold for an average $188.43. Oil prices rose for a third day on Wednesday as easing of lockdowns in the United States and parts of Europe heralded a boost in fuel demand in summer season and offset concerns about the rise of COVID-19 infections in India and Japan. Both contracts hit the highest level since mid-March in intraday trade. According to two market sources, the American Petroleum Institute Industry Group reported crude stockpiles fell by 7.7 million barrels in the week ended April 30. That was more than triple the drawdown expected by analysts polled by Reuters. Gasoline stockpiles fell by 5.3 million barrels. Brent crude futures rose 93 cents to $69.81 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 85 cents to $66.54 a barrel. In news from across the region, we begin in Trinidad and Tobago. Opposition leader Kamla Pbcj has responded to the restrictions outlined by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. She claims the government has no comprehensive plan to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The opposition leader offered some of her own suggestions to help businesses in the country stay afloat. Mahalia Joseph Wharton has more.
Opposition leader Kamla Pbcj said some fiscal measures should have been included in the updated regulations for loan deferral schemes in coordination with the Bankers Association and the Central Bank.
Reduced bank rates for loans in place at the moment. Thirdly, you should have told us something about a debt workout scheme for companies that are deemed to now fall below bank risk as a result of the really bad effects of the pandemic. Debt workout scheme. This can place state-run bank FCB or other bankers in the scheme to ensure businesses get rescued.
She said the renewal of SME fund accessibility through commercial banks for companies that are small and micro should be implemented.
A VAT rebate position of the state, that should have been disclosed. This represents the state's obligation to the private sector. Companies that are going to be seeking financing to cover working capital costs during a lockdown, a rebate of VAT at this time could have supported some enterprises. VAT rebates, big song and nonsense about VAT rebates and how they're going to do it and not do it. Well, how many VAT rebates have you given?
She also had this question for the Prime Minister.
What will we do? Well, you will be doing, you and the government, to help the thousands lost their livelihoods in this lockdown. We have a responsibility to protect citizens from being thrown out from their homes because they cannot pay mortgages, they cannot pay rents, they cannot buy medication for a sick child, for a relative.
The UNC leader said the opposition supports measures to protect the health and well-being of citizens, but she said many will be unable to take care of their families. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
Barbados' High Commissioner to Canada is clearing the air on his inability to take up his post overseas. The commissioner has remained on the island nearly 2 months after the announcement of his renewed appointment. Emmanuel Joseph has the details.
Against the backdrop of public speculation surrounding his continued stay in Barbados, Clark on Tuesday broke his silence on the situation. The retired Member of Parliament for St. George North told Barbados Today the reason for him not being able to begin work in Canada is beyond his control.
The place is still shut down and has not, they can't get in Canada right now.
Okay.
I mean, if you follow the guidelines, they said that there's no travel between province. There's no flight going into Canada or coming out. And that was going for the last month or two. Air Canada doesn't go in.
New High Commissioner to Canada, Glenn Clark. And I'm Emmanuel Joseph for Barbados Today.
And over in sports, Sebastian Coe, the head of the world governing body of track and field, said a half-marathon test event run in Japan's northern city of Sapporo on Wednesday made him confident that the Olympic marathon can be held successfully in the city when the Tokyo Games open in just under 3 months. Spectators were encouraged to stay off the streets and not watch the race in person. Security officials held signs on the roads that read, quote, "Please refrain from watching the event from here," end quote. The smattering of competitors from abroad were largely restricted to their hotel rooms while not competing or training. Coe said strict protocol measures against COVID-19 were followed. Coe, who is seen as a possible candidate to head the International Olympic Committee after Thomas Bach, was outwardly laudatory. He will be on hand on Sunday when Tokyo organizers hold another test event at the new $1.4 billion National Stadium in Tokyo. According to an AP Sports report, Tokyo organizers have held a series of test events in the last several days and have reported few problems. The largest problem is convincing the Japanese population that the Olympics with 11,000 athletes and thousands of others should take place in the middle of a pandemic. In polls, 70 to 80% in Japan say they don't want the Olympics to take place. That sentiment has not moderated in Tokyo, Osaka, and other areas under emergency orders, with cases surging, particularly the more contagious variants. And that's it for the news. Thanks for watching, pleasant viewing, and stay safe.